Another week of cricket is done. We saw Sanju Samson get a century and then get out for a duck. We also saw Alzari Joseph disrespect his captain, walk off the field, and so many other things that have happened on the field and off the field this week.
Before we get into it, hit that subscribe button. Let's get into it.
India A took on Australia A in the second unofficial test match. Dhruv Jurel was the only India A batter who stood out and performed really well in both innings. He got half centuries. Prasidh Krishna was also really good with the ball. He got a total of 6 wickets in the match, but Australia A as well went on to whitewash India A 2-0. Rahul also didn't get any substantial scores, neither did Abhimanyu Ishwaran.
It's funny because in one of the overs in this match where Tanush Kotian was bowling to Marcus Harris, it was clearly off the bat, caught at first slip by Dev Dutt, and the umpire didn't give that out. And Stuart Broad, funnily enough, on the Instagram post by Cricket Australia, said that he would have walked off. It's ironic coming from him because famously enough, when he nicked off the ball at first slip, he didn't walk off in the Ashes. This week there was a 6-hour long meeting that included the likes of Rohit Sharma, Botham, Ajit Agarkar and Roger Binney, with Jay Shah involved as well, talking about the whitewash against New Zealand, what went wrong and what they could have done right, what was the problem within the Indian team management. And out of this there are a lot of rumors coming out. None of this have been confirmed, but apparently Gautam Gambhir's test coaching tenure will be determined after the BGT. A lot of senior players within the squad do not agree with how Gautam Gambhir's style of coaching is taking place. There are a lot of rumors spreading out of this, but there was a meeting that took place.
Now coming to the rest of the international cricket circuit, Sharjah Cricket Stadium became the first stadium to host 300 international matches. And of course the match that took place was Bangladesh versus Afghanistan. The series is currently tied 1-1 with the third ODI due to happen today. Going from here to right down under, Pakistan won 2-1 in the ODI series against Australia. Haris Rauf was the star of the series. He got a fifer in the second ODI and a crucial twofer in the third ODI. And the Australians did not seem to have an answer to Pakistan's pace attack. This was also the first time in 22 years that Pakistan has won an ODI series in Australia.
When we bring Pakistan and UAE together, we get this hybrid model that was suggested by ICC to Pakistan for the next year's ICC Champions Trophy. Pakistan Cricket Board were unhappy with this and reportedly refused the proposal, while the BCCI have also stated that they will not travel to Pakistan.
Now talking about refusals and disagreements, there was a disagreement between Alzari Joseph and Shai Hope. Now in the middle of Alzari Joseph's over, there was a disagreement that he had with Shai Hope, and as soon as he finished his over, he proceeded to walk off the field without even telling anyone.
Now this sounds like fan fiction, but Ian Botham had flown down to Australia, and Merv Hughes, the ex-Australian player, both of them had planned to go for fishing, and Ian Botham, while on boarding the boat, slipped and fell. And this was scary not only because of him falling into the water, but the water was infested with sharks and crocodile. Merv Hughes, in a split second, reportedly rescued Ian Botham, and Ian Botham later said that he came out of the water quicker than he went in because of this lad.
Now coming to the associate nations and also the other cricketing tournaments that are happening around the international cricketing circuit, the ICC CWC League 2 is currently on. USA and Canada are actually playing extremely well. They are currently at the top of the table. Teams like Scotland and Oman, who have known to do better initially, are currently struggling a slight bit. Also, if you're looking out for matches from different nations, or if you're from one of these nations, the ICC CWC Challenge League B has also started. Currently, Italy is on top with 2 out of 2 wins, and they sit on 4 points on that points table.
Talking about a former associate player and now a full-time player, Mohammad Nabi from Afghanistan is set to retire after the next year's Champions Trophy.
Now, West Indies took on England in a 3-match ODI series, and West Indies went on to beat England 2-1. They've moved on to the T20I series now. England is currently up 1-0. But coming back to the ODIs, in the final ODI, West Indies absolutely outclassed England. They won by 8 wickets, with Kesey Carty and Brandon King both getting centuries for West Indies. And talking about T20 cricket, India versus South Africa T20I series is also on. After India won that first T20I against South Africa, they went on to lose that second T20I, despite Varun Chakravarti getting a fifer, bowling really well. The South Africans looked all but out in that second T20 game until Tristan Stubbs and Gerald Coetzee's late hitting eventually led South Africa to win the game. And of course, cricket continues to be a funny sport, as Sanju Samson, who got a century in the first game, which was also a back-to-back century for him in T20s, the first Indian to do so and the 4th overall. And funnily enough, he now leads the charts for also the most number of ducks by an Indian in a year in T20Is, which is 4.
Now, India South Africa have always had a good relationship in terms of cricket, which also means that the Afro Asia Cup is in talks. Afro Asia Cup is basically a tournament where Asia's 11 plays against the Africa's 11. The Asian Cricket Council haven't given any confirmations about this, nor have they said that if they've gotten any proposal, but the African Cricket Association are definitely interested because not only will it be an interesting match, but it will also lead to a lot of revenue. A bit of trivia for you, we have only had this cup twice in cricketing history, one in 2005 and the second in 2007. There was one supposed to be in 2009, but it never took place.
Speaking of Asia and the subcontinent, the Sri Lanka-New Zealand T20I series was on. Sri Lanka was up 1-0, but New Zealand equalized them and the series is now a tie at 1-1. Loki Ferguson got a hat-trick. He becomes the 5th New Zealand bowler to do so. It was a tight finish. It was a close game. Sri Lanka needed 6 of the last 2 balls, but they had just 1 wicket in hand and New Zealand ended up taking that wicket.
Sticking to the New Zealand fast bowlers, Neil Wagner has released his book called All Out, where he talks about his cricketing career, especially his retirement and how that was mishandled. We'll definitely give that book a read. If you guys want a book review of cricketers, comment down below.
Now moving to women's cricket, the China Women's Quadrangular Series is currently on. Hong Kong women are at the top of the table over there. One match that stood out over there was Mongolia versus Hong Kong women. The Mongolian women were dismissed for just 19 in 12.5 overs.
It's going to be a very exciting time for women's cricket between 2025 to 29 because their FTP has been released. The future touring program has been released where they'll play more test matches. There'll be an introduction of Olympic cricket, the first for women's game. They're going to play excess of 400 games with an ICC event every year. They will also have the first Champions Trophy taking place in 2027 with 6 teams set to feature in this tournament. Not only that, but the Zimbabwe women's team officially enter the ICC ODS Women's Championship, because now the tournament has expanded from 10 teams to 11 teams, which means they will play the likes of New Zealand, England, Australia, Pakistan, India and all the full-time members.
Now shifting our focus from international cricket to domestic cricket, coming to the Indian Ranji Trophy circuit, Mumbai absolutely annihilated Odisha, beating them by an innings and 103 runs. The star performers of course were Shreyas Iyer, who got a 233, which means that he now has back-to-back hundreds in the Ranji Trophy. Apart from him, Siddesh Lad also made a comeback to the Mumbai squad, scored 169 not out.
Going from Mumbai to Maharashtra, Ruturaj Gaikwad put a clip from the Maharashtra game on his story. Maharashtra were playing services when Ankit Bhavne was given out, caught at second slip, when the ball had clearly pitched right in front of him. There was a whole fuzz in the middle of the ground and Ruturaj Gaikwad evidently was unhappy with the fact that in a live game of Ranji Trophy at a high-level tournament in Indian cricket, the umpiring can just be so bad.
Now, of course, the Ranji Trophy is a very prestigious tournament and there are very few players who come as good as Jalaj Saxena. In the game against Uttar Pradesh, Jalaj Saxena completed 400 wickets in the Ranji Trophy. He's become the 13th player to do so, but he also has a double of 400 wickets and 6,000 runs and he's the only player in the Ranji Trophy to have this record.
Talking about veterans of Ranji cricket, Riddhiman Saha has announced that he will retire by the end of the season.
Now, one very interesting game that happened this week was Assam versus Tamil Nadu. Assam drew Tamil Nadu and not only that, they also got the first innings lead, courtesy a century from Assam batter Danish Das.
Now, someone who's not scoring a century and has also been dropped from the squad is Prithvi Shaw, and in this week, Greg Chappell had written a beautiful open letter to Prithvi Shaw talking about how these setbacks are the reasons players go from becoming good to great and how he should look at this setback as an opportunity to prove that he still has what it takes to be a great international player. We've got a breaking news at the time of recording that Cricket West Indies and ESPN Caribbean have agreed for a 6-year long contract, which is great news for West Indies cricket because not only will the men's and women's sport be covered, but also the franchise leagues that they have. This is groundbreaking because this is the longest broadcasting agreement West Indies cricket has made with any broadcasting company in the Caribbean.
Now, the final domestic news that we have for you is the women's BBL. Sydney Thunder are currently leading the table, but apart from that, something that stood out this week was Lizelle Lee's batting performance. She scored 150 not out of just 75 deliveries for the Melbourne Renegades. The knock was laced with 12 fours and 12 sixes.
Sticking to franchise cricket, the IPL auction will take place on 24th and 25th of November in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia. Interestingly, we have James Anderson and an Italian player, Thomas Draka, who have registered their names in the IPL. Now, during the time of the recording, there are reports that Rohit Sharma will not travel with the Indian team to Australia, but him missing out from the first test is still ambiguous because rumors suggest that the birth of his second child might take place around that time. And talking about being a father, KL Rahul and Athiya Shetty have announced that they will become a parent in 2025.
Now that's been it for this week's cricket. If you enjoyed this video, definitely like, comment, share this video with your friends, and definitely subscribe. All of our links are in the description below. We've got socials on Instagram, Twitter. We also have a blog and a newsletter, so if you haven't subscribed, do it. Thanks for watching.